Murphy, the owner of the Iron Pig Smokehouse there in downtown Gaylord. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Trucker Randy.
What is happening in your world?
Lots of stuff. There's something very interesting that is happening, but I cannot tell you about it. It's so unfair to even mention it. But there's something coming down the pipe that's going to be very interesting for your listeners, for our fans, fans of freedom, fans of free speech, fans of fighting against some of this ridiculous stuff that's coming down. Gosh, I wish I could say more about it, but I think documents are going to be filed. And this is not an action that I am a part of.
Okay.
Legally speaking, this is something else that has come our way sort of adjacent through the other battles that we've been a part of. So as soon as these documents get filed, I believe by the end of next week.
Okay.
So I might not even be able to talk about it next week yet, but there's a very interesting thing that's going on, and I cannot wait to talk about it. But it's just in line with a lot of the other stuff that we've been fighting against that you and I always talk about.
Yep.
And it's just getting these government agencies off of our back. And there's a new one that's stepped in it recently. I can at least tell you it's the Michigan Department of Civil Rights.
Oh, very cool. Now, one thing on that point is explain to the audience why you can't announce it now. Explain that process, because a lot of times you and I talk and we have conversations about very, obvious different topics and things that we talk about that we not necessarily related to the interview every week, but something that we want to brainstorm or bounce off of each other. Explain that process as to why you specifically can't say or make an announcement today or even possibly next Tuesday.
There's a couple of reasons. One in particular is that a lot of times you don't want to tip your hand. You don't necessarily want to discuss, a certain argument that you may be trying to make or bring about in a lawsuit, those types of things. With us, it's been a little bit different than this exact case that I'm talking about here. This is an individual. This is not a business. Again, it is a free speech thing, but really it's about strategy. And as these things develop, your strategy starts to change a little bit. And I'll tell you, one of the best strategies that we have deployed, myself, Dave Delaney, our attorney, is this lie in the weeds approach. The folks down in Lansing are plenty happy to think of us as hillbilly, uneducated folk up here.
Yep.
And we sort of play right in line with that. We kind of played that hand a little bit when we were told to shut down, but then the governor opened back up. So we personally, the Iron Pig, was told to shut down because we were an imminent threat because we were open during the close down. Then the governor said restaurants can open back up. So I defied the order out of Lansing to open back up and essentially got a contempt of court. But our argument in the contempt of court hearing was, well, wait a minute, Your Honor, if we're such an imminent threat because of COVID, then why did the governor just open back up restaurants?
So yeah, you guys can open up to full capacity. You stop taking names on a sign-in sheet, all of that. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Strategic move.
Got it.
Yeah, this was happening over a couple of days, right? So we had not even 72 hours to kind of make these decisions, but I didn't tip my hand in any way when they said you have to close your restaurant, and then we knew that these orders were coming out. There's a strategy involved with that. And again, it's the lying in the weeds, and we just let them think that we're, dingbats, from up north.
Well, I refer to us, of course, as the Hicks and the Sticks north of 46.
There you go. Perfect. I love that.
Yes. Now, here's the other component to this, because as the attorneys are laying out the paperwork, laying out the filing that you referred to, it becomes then a situation where it's based on precedent. It's based on existing laws, interpretation of those laws. There's disagreement. So you're putting forth an argument. So you really don't want the other side to be aware of it so that when it's actually filed, they have the ability to file an immediate response to possibly neuter it or get it thrown out. Is that part of the strategy?
Yes, absolutely. And majority of the time for our things that we've done with briefing more specifically is we wait till they are filed and made public. That way anybody can see them, anybody can talk about them. It's not just conjecture, it's actually what we've done and
Sure.
what our argument is putting forth, I guess is the best way to say it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and to your point about precedent, with a lot of these cases, and in this case I'm hoping I get to talk about soon,
Yep.
things are changing rapidly with the COVID judgments and stuff that were coming down, especially about school mask mandates. Those were happening daily. So it's tough to come out and say, well, this is what we want to do, because tomorrow it could change, and or at the time, a emergency order could change everything and put masks back on or take masks off. I mean, the power that these executive branch agencies, this fourth branch of government we always talk about, the power that they have is just insane. And this next case is a prime example of it, because it has a lot to do with the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Amendment that was passed earlier this year. So it's just some interesting things that are happening. And again, it's not the health department that's coming down. It's now the MDCR, Department of Civil Rights in Michigan, that is coming and pushing these arguments forward. And it's going to be a very interesting battle moving forward. And I can't wait to tell everybody about exactly what's going to be happening.
Well, it's very similar to the dissertation that Tom Lambert, attorney for Michigan Open Carry, presented to the folks who attended our Antrim County Conservative Union Fun Shoot Pig Roast gun swap that we did in August. And he said, don't freak out over these gun bills, Randy. You've been talking about it on your radio show. I've been listening to you, and you're concerned that 90 days after they end the legislative session, they go into effect. He says, but as soon as they go into effect, we are preparing a lawsuit that is going to be filed that says they're overreaching. These bills, these laws that the governor signed that will take immediate effect in February of next year, we're going to tie it up in court. So don't freak out just yet, because the way their strategy is that they overreached and they passed things and did what they wanted for their far left agenda when it comes to the Second Amendment, firearms, ammunition, safe storage, red flag laws, all of that, Ian. But he said it was so overreaching that we're going to very simply be able to prove it's unconstitutional per the Second Amendment for the U.S. Constitution, as well as Michigan State's Constitution, Article 1, Section 6. He said, not only will we defeat these bills, but we will gain more rights. We will actually reverse a lot of the previous other rules and things that they've placed on us. So don't freak out just yet. There is going to be a court battle over this, and we think that we are actually going to gain rights as opposed to losing rights. So is this somewhat similar, you think, in the strategy regarding civil rights?
I do. It is completely an overreach. And there's a couple of things that people are going to start to become more familiar with as these arguments start to heat up as we get towards the end of the legislative session, which I'm not sure that they've announced yet. So people are going to hear more about the term sine die, which is exactly what you just described.
First week in November. I got it from a state representative Republican last night at 7:10 when he texted me. He said they're going to end it the first week in November.
So then all of those bills that were passed on sine die, which means that they don't take effect till 90 days after the end of the current legislative session that they were passing. People are going to hear more and more about that. The Elliott Larson stuff that I just mentioned will be taking effect then. These gun things, the red flags, all those stuff. So, and separation of powers. We always go back to, and that's why I'm adjacent to this civil rights complaint that's going on. Is because it is a violation of the separation of powers. You know, the Department of Civil Rights is basically writing laws that have penalties to them, and they're enforcing them all within the executive branch in Michigan. So you're going to find these arguments are very compelling, and I think you're right. They're probably going to actually unlock some more of our rights and our freedoms.
Well, and the interesting component to this is completely different areas of our laws, of our liberties, our freedoms, regarding civil rights to Second Amendment, now there's even arguments, discussion about they're not going to be able to implement the early 9 days of voting next year that they passed per proposal 2, because they don't have the money to fund these local municipalities, townships, cities, villages. Even some county clerks are saying, we don't have the money to handle 9 days of early voting. We can't find poll workers, just like you can't find staff for your
Yes.
business. Others.
We've heard that here in Otsego County, as a matter of fact. I personally have heard that from our county clerk's mouth, that they are concerned about those exact same things, among other things moving forward. But a lot of those things that were changed, yeah.
Well, here's the other component to this. As these laws, these rules, these changes go into effect, but then they can't implement them, they can't fund them, they can't find the workers, et cetera, maybe, just maybe, this whole agenda collapses just because they were so overreaching.
Yeah, and I'll say this is par for the course for how government does things, right? Let's ram through some legislation. Let's enact it before we've, thoroughly vetted it and make sure that our localities can actually implement these things. I mean, this is par for the course for how government operates.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the business. The hours, they're changing. The colors, I've been texted by many people saying, Trucker, you need to get your motorcycle out and get up here to Cross Village, the tunnel of trees on M119. The colors are in full peak, and people need to come to Northern Michigan this weekend.
We've seen a ton of people coming through here. I mean, golly, it's almost like July on the weekends up here. It's incredible. And we haven't had the nicest of weather, and it looks like we're going to have some nice weather.
Yes.
So I implore anybody to come up. But yeah, so we're doing breakfast 4 days a week. We're doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All scratch breakfast from 9 to 11. We're not doing our buffet anymore like we were for the golfers.
Yep.
Golf season's over. So open 7 days a week. We close the kitchen at around 10 o'clock, the bar around 11 o'clock on the weekends, and then 9 and 10 o'clock during the week. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Live music every Friday night that we have going on right now. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, 8 to 11, we bring in usually a solo or a duo act to come in and do music right at the bar. Every other Wednesday night, we have karaoke. The best karaoke hosts in Northern Michigan, Al and Diane, are here. We have so much fun stuff going on. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to be in the barbecue business, especially this time of year.
Absolutely. And of course, want to mention the Mug Club. Explain that to folks.
Yeah, so we've got a fantastic mug club that gives you a ton of benefits. We have the ultimate lifetime one that gets you our NFT project. There's a monthly membership as well, an annual membership, discounts on beer, discounts on food, discounts on merchandise, exclusive VIP access. We're getting ready to announce our dates for Fuel Fest next year. So you get free passes to that, behind the scenes access to meet and greets, all that fun stuff. Mug Club, what is it? IronPigMugClub.com is more information on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last thing I did want to ask you about, and this is something I got a text message from the listener. He just wanted to verify. Brisket, how long do you smoke it, and what type of wood chips do you use?
So we use cherry wood from Boyne Valley. A friend of ours brings that over about once a month. And so the majority of our brisket run for at least 12 hours, sometimes 16, depending on the weight. But they sit right in our kitchen, right in our gorgeous old hickory smoker that was built right out of Missouri. And they're not chips, they're actual logs, little quartered logs.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate that information. Not giving away any trade secrets, but that's why your brisket and all of your smoked meats taste so good, is because of the cherry wood.
And we love to share this information too. I mean, that's partly what barbecue is all about, is sharing and trying out different things. That's what makes barbecue so unique. So we're always happy to share anything like that to get anybody interested in barbecue or up in their barbecue game whatsoever. Come on by, ask questions, give us a call, shoot us an email, any of that fun stuff.
Excellent. Well, stay strong, and hopefully the papers get filed and we can talk about it next Tuesday, but we'll see.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man. Bottom of the hour news break. We'll be right back.